Today I like to talk about the brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky. Well, for a long time I wanted to read this, gigantic book. I have this, but of course, you don't have time to read and everything, and I haven't read. But finally, I read it, maybe 2 or 3 years ago only, and I loved it because it's a very enjoyable book. You feel like, wow, people describe this as kind of a philosophical and like a crime and punishment. It's about guilt and all this thing, and but essentially, I would say relationship between those three brothers, Dmitry, Ivan, and Alyosha, and they're young brothers, but each one is very different, and but they love each other, and but the life is very different. Each life is a very different life, and I love the Alyosha. Alyosha is more like a most likable younger brother, youngest brother. And I think it's almost, I feel like this is written a point of view of Alyosha looking at the older brothers and the father. Father was more or less like maybe fourth figure, right? Yeah, and but it's not really liked by those three brothers, and but he was killed by somebody, and I think that's the main theme, and who killed his father, and so it's very intriguing, and investigations and all these things, and but at the same time very religious, I would say religious, and also philosophical, and probably philosophical part of it, I think try to understand, but maybe I didn't understand. So I like to reread this again and again and again. I would say this is so entertaining when you read it. If you don't think that's kind of a tedious reading or anything, because it's a thick book, but it's not. It's a very easy read and very enjoyable read, and you find these brothers, each character is fascinating, and story itself is fascinating, and so I tend to think this is one of the best Western literature, and I want to read it again and again and again, because I think because it is fun to read, okay, first of all, and but it's at the same time it gives you like an insight of what it's like or something like that. So this is my few cents of this December 7th, almost December 9th, I'm sorry, December 9th. And the December 9th, I think it's warm outside. It's warm, and maybe 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and coronavirus is rampaging. So reading books is a good way to spend time. But as you know, it is very hard to find the time in reading. And one of the reading I acquired, I used to work about 45 minutes drive away place, and 45 minutes going to work and 45 minutes coming to work, and I think the driving a car, I finally realized that rather than going very fast in the highway, I'd rather go this country road more peacefully, and so that's created a 45 minutes drive. But when I discovered I could read books when I'm driving, that means I read this CD, book on CD, and play it when I'm driving. And I don't recommend for everybody because sometimes it's not the safe way to drive, right? But the road I have chosen to go is a beautiful road. It's a beautiful scenery of Colorado mountains and beautiful greens and everything, and relatively safe and not so much traffic. So that's why I enjoyed, and this commuting became like something I anticipate. So for that commuter only, I get up in the morning very, very cheerfully, and I anticipate the fun of reading again coming home, and that's how I read so many books. And I have to confess that that's the reason I read so many books. And when you're listening, you don't necessarily stop, because you just continuously listening, regardless of something. You're driving, you see something, and your eyes goes there, and somehow your ear was kind of shut down, and so you're not listening. But the reading of the CD continuously, keep on going, and therefore you progress, and you read books like Brothers Karamazov very fast, and but your impact on the reading like that still very, very strong and very, very enjoyable. So driving became an enjoyable habit of me, just because even the weekends, for example, I like to read, right? Okay, so I'm going to go driving for a little bit farther distance, and then I read. So funny. But after coronavirus hit, and after I returned, I don't have to drive anymore. Those habits are almost like kaput, and therefore I have to have somehow resume that reading by listening. So I tried so many ways that there's lots of CD you can still borrow, and also you can go to YouTube to listen to this. So I tried that, but for some reason when I listen to those, unless it's so much you have emphasis on listening, you fall asleep. Like especially when you go to bed and when you read, definitely you fall asleep. When you're sleeping, still this reading is going on, but you fell asleep, so you don't know, you don't hear anything, right? So you miss it, and it's very bad way to do the reading. So I still recommend when you borrow the audio books, you can do that, but you have to dedicate yourself certain amount of time. Either you are doing the house chores or whatever, you have to kind of remind yourself you have to listen to this, and it's very enjoyable habits. And so Brother Karamazov, I read that way, and that's why even I show you this book. I never read this particular paper book, but I just glanced at it, and wow, yeah, it's good, and it's I have to read this again. So I will do that. Okay, thank you, bye.